In yet another episode of How to Kill Democracy in Broad Daylight, Zimbabwe's Minister of Information, Genfan Muswere, has decided that free speech is now a crime. Well, at least when it doesn't involve bootlicking Emerson Mnangagwa and his band of looters. Muswere, in his infinite wisdom, is now calling for the criminalization of airing Blessed Geza's press conferences. His reasoning? Zimbabwe supposedly allows freedom of expression, but not the freedom to violate other people's rights. Oh, really? Whose rights were violated here? Did Geza loot national resources? Did he order abductions? Did he steal an election? Nope. He simply did what any citizen in a democracy is allowed to do. He criticized the president. He spoke about the collapsing economy. He called for Mnangagwa's resignation. He reminded Zimbabweans that peaceful protests are legal, and when the time is right, they should hit the streets. If that's treason, then Zimbabwe's 2017 uprising was the biggest criminal act in the nation's history. Except back then it was celebrated and ruled legal. So what's different now? Oh, that's right. Mnangagwa is on the receiving end this time. But let's hear it from the man himself. Here's Muswere throwing a tantrum, calling free speech treasonous because apparently the truth is now a national security threat.
For the media sector, and in particular Section 61 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which focuses primarily on the freedom of expression and the freedom of the media. The government of Zimbabwe, under the leadership of President Mnangagwa, has put in place a number of policy and legislative interventions in order to support the robustness, the diversity, and media plurality of the industry. In terms of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, the freedom of expression is guaranteed, but the freedom to violate other people's rights is not part of a constitutional process. Of late, we've identified a number of media institutions that have been providing a platform for treason, a platform for defamatory, insightful, and inflammatory statements that seek to undermine the democratic constitutionalism of our country. In terms of the leadership that has been provided by His Excellency the President, Dr. Mnangagwa, who has been democratically elected both in ZANU-PF as a political party and in August 2023 by the overwhelming majority of the people of Zimbabwe. His Excellency the President continues to roll out democratic, inclusive programs and projects, now numbering more than 8,000 programs and projects delivered under his leadership. All this has increased the confidence and support in terms of the popularity of the government of Zimbabwe and the ruling party, ZANU-PF. At the same time, there is oneness, unity of purpose, and true comradeship in the presidium. There is no noise in the cockpit, and as a new dispensation will continue to democratically and economically roll out many projects in order to empower the people of Zimbabwe.
It's almost comical how these guys operate. They preach democracy, hold fake elections, and claim Zimbabwe is open for business until someone reminds them that a real democracy allows citizens to challenge the president. Then suddenly, we're back to dictatorship mode, where expressing an opinion gets you labeled an enemy of the state. Muswere's logic is simple. Free speech is fine when it's used to praise Mnangagwa's visionary leadership, which has led to record breaking poverty and hyperinflation. But the moment someone points out that the emperor has no clothes, the alarms go off. The government, instead of fixing the broken economy, addressing corruption, or at least pretending to care about the suffering masses, is busy hunting down journalists and activists for daring to state the obvious. Maybe Muswere thinks Zimbabweans are fools. Maybe he believes banning press conferences will stop the inevitable. Here's a reality check. No amount of censorship, propaganda, or threats will change the fact that Mnangagwa has run this country into the ground. And history has proven one thing. When people have had enough, no amount of dictatorship will stop them. The revolution is brewing, and when it finally boils over, Muswere and his fellow bootlickers will be left with nothing but their hollow speeches and shattered egos. Until then, we'll keep exposing them, one ridiculous statement at a time. Subscribe to Zimwaves TV now, because if Muswere hates free speech this much, you definitely need to hear what they don't want you to know.
Geza kupinda mumugwagwa varuive hondo imi magandanga vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavenda varairi dzine masoja tese tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timanye koimi muchadaidzira rini kana kuwedza bhuru wayo kana kumbungo pashurugwi vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavenda varairi dzine masoja tese tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timanye koimi muchadaidzira rini muzvikoro nanachiremba muzvitoro tayasipora vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavenda varairi dzine masoja tese tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timanye koimi muchadaidzira rini.
We've been mobilizing ourselves to deliver the final blow to a dictatorship that lacks any wisdom or empathy. We are now ready to deliver the final push, a push that needs all of us to face the odds and build a new country. We are going to give you a clearer signal soon. It will come before 2300 hours at night, so that we end this 2030 business.
Geza kupinda mumugwagwa varuive hondo imi magandanga vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavenda varairi dzine masoja tese tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timanye koimi muchadaidzira rini kana kuwedza bhuru wayo kana kumbungo pashurugwi vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavenda varairi dzine masoja tese tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timanye koimi muchadaidzira rini Muzvikoro nana chiremba muzvitoro tayasipora vechidiki naivo vatana mawindi memavhenda varairi dzine masoja tese tatomira negumbo rimwe kuti timhanye ko imi muchadaidzira rini.
We will mobilize ourselves to deliver the final blow to a dictatorship that lacks any wisdom or empathy. We are now ready to deliver the final push, a push that needs all of us to face the odds and build a new country. We are going to give you a clearer signal soon. It will come before 2300 hours tonight, so that we end this 2030 business.